Welcome to Share Talk, the only podcast where investors come first.
This morning we have David Sefton, Chairman of Anglo African Oil and Gas, which is an AIM-listed company with an asset in the Republic of Congo. Morning, David. How are you?
Morning. I'm very well, thank you. Very well indeed.
Good. Firstly, congratulations on the spud of the TLP 103 well today. There's been a lot of hard work to get to this point. Do you think you can tell us a bit more about what the team have been working on?
Well, thanks very much. It's really been a fantastic achievement to get here, and it's a real testament to James Berwick and the really fantastic operational team he's put together since coming on board at the beginning of this year. It's been a journey to get here, but he's pulled together a really excellent drilling plan, which we've had worked on to give us the best chance of success here. He's pulled together the right team. We've got a very good rig. It's coming at a good price. Everything has kind of come together, and I know that everyone on that side of things has just been absolutely working all the hours God sends to get us here. And I can't thank them enough. And it's just really, really pleasing to be spudding this well, which we spent a lot of time talking about.
That's good to hear. And the Tilapia field, it's apparently got an excellent location. Can you give us a bit more information about that region?
Yeah, it's a region on the Atlantic coast of the Republic of the Congo, which is obviously just to the north of the Democratic Republic. It's the old French Congo. It's actually one of the oldest oil-producing regions in Africa, and various horizons have been in production for a long time in this region. But what has become interesting over the last few years is, first of all, there's a layer called the Mengo, which we'll talk about again in a moment, where a lot of the onshore producers have worked out how to bring that kind of tight sand layer into production, and have brought that into production in many areas. But even more exciting still is that companies like Total and others have drilled into an horizon called the Geno, which our field sits in as well. And they've discovered at about 2,000 meters down a field which has oil flowing out at rates of about 5,000 barrels a day. And that is an utterly transformative prospect for any company that can drill into a layer like that.
Okay, that sort of leads me on to my next question. So TLP 103 is described as a multi-horizon well. Can you explain exactly what that means for the people listening, and also give us an overview of what the well is going to target?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is an interesting well list because it is a mixture of a development well and an exploration well. And we've really got three principal layers that we're targeting and a potential fourth. The first layer that we go through is R1, R2. And this is the layer from which we are already producing from existing wells, and which our neighbours are already producing from existing wells. It's a well-known, well-understood layer. And so to bring that into production, it carries very little operational risk and certainly no exploration risk. R1, R2 doesn't flow at huge volumes, but nevertheless, it's always a valuable addition to any field. Below that, we then go into the Mengo, which is one of the two I mentioned before. The Mengo is a tight sands layer which extends all the way through the Congo up into Gabon. Over the last 5 or 10 years, people have figured out down there how to bring this layer into production using modern techniques. Where they have brought it into production, it tends to come on stream with about 800 odd barrels a day, and then decline fairly quickly to about 500 barrels a day and stabilise at around that. We have well data from a few years ago when they drilled into that layer on our licence area, and they found producible hydrocarbons. But this was before the technology was really brought into general use. So the layer was never brought into production, but we know that there's oil there. And that, from the Mengo layer alone, we could build a very, very valuable oil company out of this. And then you add on to that the exploration side of things, which is always interesting with a small oil company, because if you just want to buy production, you buy BP. But here we've got this nice balance of development on the two proven layers, which has some operational risk, but nevertheless is a long way from wildcat exploration. And then the exploration into the Geno, where we have good data indicating that there should be oil, or producible oil, but it is exploration. Since we haven't drilled into that, we won't know for certain until we get there. But the payoff, if and when that comes off, is absolutely enormous.
Okay, you talked about risk there. So you stated that the TLP is a highly attractive risk reward. Can you explain a bit more about this?
Yeah, well, that's really the issue here is that we have underpinning this development. We have drilling into R1, R2, and the Mengo, which is low risk drilling because you're drilling where you know that there's oil. There are always issues about bringing things into production, but they are far, far lower than exploration drilling. And they alone would make this a very valuable oil company. So you're almost sort of getting the exploration side for free. And the exploration side is exactly the kind of exploration that you want. Because if and when we can bring the Geno into production, 5,000 barrels a day for a small oil company is completely transformative as to value.
I can imagine so. The well's going to take 64 days to drill, apparently, you stated before. When do you think we can expect some of the news flow to come through?
Well, we will be able to give some updates while we are drilling down through the various layers. There are some restrictions legally in the Congo about what we can say, but we will be able to give people indication that the drilling is on target, that we've got into the layers, and hopefully we will try and be able to say something about what the initial test data is. So we will be keeping the news flow up during the drill. We won't just be waiting for the end to tell everybody what's happened.
No, that's good. So you won't have people waiting around for 2 months in the dark, just wondering how things are going. Final question I'm going to ask is, in the event of a success with this well, what are the company's plans for further development of the field?
Well, I think the further developments actually are pretty clear, and in a sense, it's not really about necessarily the success of this well. We know where there's definitely oil in the Mengo and R1, R2, and in the event that there was a problem on this well going through that would just give us the data to go back in and do a further well and then bring those fields into production. So where we know that there is certain oil, there isn't a sort of a binary yes/no result coming out of this. And actually, similarly on the Geno is such a valuable asset that we would take, even if we don't find it on this drill, we'll take whatever data we can and we'll refine it, and we would look to kind of go again. And actually, really, we want to get on with doing at least the second well fairly quickly. I mean, a big part of the cost of drilling the well is the demobilization costs that are involved in the planning. And while we've got everything kind of here on site, I think whatever the result of 103, and clearly we are very, very confident that we've done the best job we can in terms of planning it, and it should be a great well, that whatever it is, we will be able to drill 104 pretty quickly afterwards. And based on the data coming out of 103, however good 103 is, 104 should be even better.
Yeah, it makes sense to do it at the same time. Yeah. David, thank you for taking some time to speak to us. And I'm guessing you're going to be busy over the next couple of months, but looking forward to hearing any updates.
Yeah, no, thank you very much, and we'll keep you posted.
Thank you for listening. Remember to visit our website for more news and other podcasts at www.share-talk.com.